Why I'm too busy is costing you your health span. Being too busy is one of the number one reasons people give for not exercising and taking care of their health. Here, I'm too busy with work. I'm too busy with my family. I'm too busy with life. And that's a cry you hear all the time. And we are all busy. But here's the hard truth: being busy today is often the reason that people will lose their health tomorrow. So it's something that we got to address and something that we got to do something about. Now, being too busy, I might kind of liken it to playing Russian roulette with our future health span, because maybe you can get away with things for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to us. So maybe a goal that we need to have is to realize that busyness is often a choice. Yes, everybody's busy. We all get 168 hours a week. Might not feel that way, and some folks are busier than others, but we all have that same allotted time. And how we think about it, how we approach it, what we do with it, that's going to make a huge difference and impact on our health immediately and specifically in the long term as we look into the future. So we have to have a different mindset or kind of reframe what busy means to us, because sometimes people think that I'm so busy that they're getting a lot done, but really the two don't always go hand in hand. Somebody could run around all day, be doing a million different things, and not productively get done what they need to get done or even what they want to get done. So we don't want to confuse busyness with productivity. And that's where we got to really examine and look at our life and remember too that health span doesn't disappear overnight. It usually erodes quietly while we're busy. So that's the sad truth. And again, we need to examine our routines, our way of life, and stop and think about the real cost of being too busy. Because when you skip movement, what happens? You lose strength. And before you know it, time goes by and you're old and weak. What about if you're too busy and skip out on sleep? Well, you lose clarity. Start to lose memory, and cognitive decline sets in. How about when you skip nutrition? You lose energy. And usually what happens, we start to put the bad things into our bodies and our mouths and eat what we shouldn't be eating. And then think of energy is what we need to get anything done, whether we're busy or not busy. We need energy to be able to exercise, just to function, take care of our families and work. So it's something that has to be given attention to. And then finally, when you skip visiting, spending time with family and friends, relationships suffer. And remember, that's one of the pillars of our health span is community, how vital it is that we build relationships to have a good long health span. So now if you start to stack these on top of each other, we can see why our health span might start to suffer. So remember, health span is an investment. And sometimes the problem is most of us don't have large sums of money that we can invest. So a lot of times, if starting small, most people think, well, that's a waste. That's $5 or $10 a day or $100 here and there. That's not going to do anything. So people don't end up investing, and then before you know it, they're not far from retirement, and they wonder how come I don't have anything set aside or ready for that. And the same thing comes with our health span. We're not talking about huge chunks of time that we're devoting. It'd be good. The more we can do, the better for us. But even small changes on a daily basis, small actions is like an investment into our health span in the future. So we got to look at it that way. We truly need to be movement centric, movement oriented. Remember, movement means life. So we examine our activities each day and see how can we incorporate some kind of movement into our daily routine of what we're already doing. Obviously, we want to try to get some extra in there, but things that we're really trying to do. And if you watch any of my videos, you know that not one video goes by without this word, and this is what we need, even in small chunks, is consistency. Consistent action, consistent behavior, on a daily basis, that's going to make a world of difference in our health span and being able to do some of these things that we want to do for our health. And you might even try to picture this or imagine this, that your future self is watching you. And either your future self is thanking you for, man, I know you didn't feel good at that time. I'm glad you went and did that workout, or I'm glad you did this for your health. Or sadly, your future self is suffering and thinking, why didn't you do a little more? Why didn't you do this? Now look at us. Look at how we're doing right now. So most people they don't fail because of lack of information and knowledge. I'm not telling you anything new that you need to exercise and need to eat right, need to be with friends and family, need to get proper sleep and good nutrition. You know these things. We all know these things. But we start to negotiate with the excuses of, well, why I didn't do that or why I can't do that. So we need to really think of our future selves, that we want to look back and be grateful that we did these things. And again, not going to be perfect, and we're not necessarily trying to find more time. Need to have this in our minds and our heads of making things non-negotiable, that there's certain things that we're going to incorporate into our activities. It's non-negotiable. So if we have to say no to something else, that's what's going to happen, because we're going to do this. And here's a few tips to consider and think about. It's good to schedule our lives in general. That's how you get more done, to have a routine, a schedule that we try to stick to. So for exercise, try to block it out like it's an important meeting at work. If your boss says there's going to be a meeting at 10 a.m., everybody has to be there. I pretty much guarantee we will be there at 10 o'clock because it's non-negotiable. It's something that the boss said we need to do. Well, we need to be the boss of our health and say, well, this allotted time, it's non-negotiable. This is for my exercising, for my well-being. Something else that will help is to plan to work out in the morning before the busy day starts, because if we leave it to, well, hopefully at the end of the day I'll have some time or I'll be able to squeeze it in, it's probably not going to happen. And I had a video a while ago, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't, but I had a little piece in there talking about eating the frog. And it's a Mark Twain saying that do the most difficult thing first each morning. And if time and being busy is the most difficult, then trying to get that workout, eating the frog, doing the most important thing in the morning before we move on to other activities, that's what we want to do. And then most people get, at least I would think, most people get a half hour lunch break. And usually we want to decompress, and that's actually good for us. You got to eat your lunch, but can you sneak 5 or 10 minutes out of your lunch break to do some kind of physical activity? At least after you eat, maybe go for a walk around your parking lot, around your building. If you can, in your area, can you do some air squats in your office or area? Keeping that in mind, trying to take advantage of that. A lot of influencers, what they try to do, whether it's they're at work or they're at home, is to take their meetings while they're walking. So some are walking outside, some are walking on a treadmill. That's another way to try to incorporate more movements. Some silly little things, they might be considered silly, but it's still doing something and it's benefiting. So got to eliminate that idea from our minds that little things, they're not going to add up, they're not going to do anything. If you're microwaving some food, can you do some air squats while you're waiting the 1, 2, 3 minutes for the microwave? How about when you're brushing your teeth? Can you do calf raises? Can you do balance exercises? I know there's one doctor that when he brushes his teeth, he's on one foot and then rotates. So there's different things you can do if you have kids, trying to incorporate movement and activities of play so that you're moving with the kids. Another simple one that I've talked about a long time ago in a video: if you're going to shop at a grocery market or the mall, wherever you're going, can you park farther away so that you're walking more steps to do what you need to do? Obviously, if you're in a massive hurry, that's might be difficult, but it might encourage you to walk faster, not a leisurely stroll in the park with some being on a mission and walking that way. How about if you take the transit to work and it drops you off right in front of your building? Oh, can you get off a stop back or two? So as long as you're not running late, so that you can get some movement walking those last couple blocks to work. So there's a lot to think about combining tasks. That's why I said being movement centric or movement oriented, combining things that you're going to do on a daily basis. You're going to do them. Can you put some kind of movement and activity into them? And then another simple one is being prepared. Can you have a to-go bag, a gym bag, and have it in your car where you got workout clothes, you got your sneakers there, maybe even in your office, so that at lunchtime you can throw the sneakers on and go for a quick walk. Being prepared and forward thinking, even just waking up in the morning. Some people have a hard time in the morning, but having their workout clothes ready there, sneakers by the bed, get ready to go, and it's easier to go and do your workout whether it's at home or at the gym if you're prepared. But if you got to get up in the morning, I got to find something to wear. Where's my exercise clothes? It's likely that you're not going to carry through or carry out with that. So these are just some tips and reminders. And then something I talked about in a recent video is that moderate to vigorous activity pays so much in dividends in our health compared to, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes of some moderate to vigorous, like high interval, high intensity interval training or Tabata training. Just having micro blasts, you could say, of exercise. 5 or 10 minutes is equivalent to a couple of hours of just some slow, leisurely walking or mild movement. The comparison is it's ridiculous, and specifically when it comes to cardiovascular health, diabetes, cancer. Now, some of these short things might not be burning the calories that we want, and a lot of times people associate exercise with I want to get in shape, I want to lose weight, I want to burn calories, but we have to look at the long term of health. And so these other areas of cardiovascular, any ailment, that these micro bursts of vigorous and moderate to vigorous training is going to affect us. So these are just some things to keep in mind. I know you're busy. Don't let that rob you of your health span. Don't let that rob you of your future health and health span. And I encourage you to think about some of these things and try to incorporate them. Appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm Steve from LZ23 Strength and look forward to talking to you again. Have a great day.